Guys, and welcome to Stratco's October Garden Notes. I'm joined by my store manager, Sam.
Thanks. How you feel? How are you?
I'm good, mate.
Good to be back. I wasn't sure I'd get invited back after the last one, so super excited to be back.
So
again,
after that, yeah, what did we do last time? Vertical garden beds.
Vertical garden beds, mate, and they're going crazy because it's springtime. The sun's out, sorry, and everything's working really, really well. So.
Yeah, so that was a bit of fun last time. So they've joined us together again. So what are we doing today?
I'm going to be talking about a couple of things. Obviously, when the weather starts to get a bit warmer, we're going to be talking about lawn preparation. Maybe touch on a bit of irrigation, things like that you want to be having a look at now, especially when the warmer weather comes out and you start those irrigation things up again for the first time and all they shoot off in the middle of nowhere and all of a sudden you have a geyser in the front yard. And I think we're going to be talking about some water saving techniques as well, mulches.
We've got
that, like
yeah, like you say, mulching. We've got, and then I guess we'll probably talk about what's happening at the weekend.
Yeah, definitely. We've got big sale on as well, so there's a few other specials that we want to mention as well, which is more about manufactured, which is obviously what we're known for as well, but we've got a great end of town this end down in Garden, which is fantastic for our offer as well. So
yeah, so I mean, you find us in the heart of garden at the moment, so we're surrounded by all the chemicals that we could possibly need for this time of the year. We've got all the mulches, the soils. We thought this might be the best place to be talking about preparing for spring and getting right into the season.
Yeah,
so you talked about lawn prep, and
yes,
we sort of are in that area.
Yep.
So it's a great time to be looking for lawns and what we can do. Coming into spring, if you haven't looked to scarify or prepared your lawn, to thatch your lawn, this is the time of the year to be doing it. So basically the thatching or scarification, talking about taking your lawn right back to sort of ground level and encouraging that, you know, fresh lot of grass to come through. You want to take the sponginess out, so if you're walking around on, you know, with the kids and stuff like that, you don't want to be bouncing around on it.
Yeah, sure.
So you cut it all back. It's the perfect time of year to be thinking about putting wetting agents on, because they're forecasting a long hot summer.
Yeah,
so you need to make sure that the water's going to get in. So wetting agents, I mean, we've got like the lawn pawn range here. The moist out of that is perfect for doing that. And once you've done that, putting some fertiliser down to encourage the growth now.
And with fertiliser, Phil, like what are we talking there? When's a good time to do it? Are we mowing and then chucking it down, or is it best to wait a couple of days before you then go ahead and actually chuck some fertiliser down on?
So if you're not going to do the scarification, just looking to sort of revitalise the lawn for the season.
Yep.
My way of doing it would be I'd give the lawn a good cut, and then give it probably a good drink the day before. Get your fertiliser on, and then water it in. Some fertilisers you put on don't need to be watered in, but it's always a good rule of thumb just to make sure that you water it through, just to avoid any burning. And in terms of lawn fertilisers, there's plenty to choose from. You can go with something a bit more chemically, like a green up. You could go for something organic, like a sudden impact for lawns. We've got controlled release as well. 4 seasons, we've got that. So they all work in their own different ways. And I mean, for me, I always think that if you can change your fertiliser a couple of times a year, it's sort of like, you don't like to eat the same sort of food all the time, and your plants and your lawn are the same.
Absolutely.
So if you can sort of cycle through a couple of different fertilisers, you'll end up getting a better looking lawn.
Yeah, good tip. Nothing wrong with trying it on different, depending on, I suppose, how much lawn you have as well. I've got a fair bit of lawn at home, and I've tried a couple of different ones as well as far as the fertiliser, just to see which one I think get better impact. But I'm with you on that in regards to, you see different results with different products, so nothing wrong with trying something new each time and having a go at it and see which one you actually prefer. And like Phil's saying, just, update that every so often and make sure you choose something different.
Absolutely, and like you say, I mean, there's different types of lawns that people have, so they might, want to have something slightly different. And I think what we deal with sort of on a daily basis is, when people come in with their general inquiries, we can't talk general. We like to talk specifics, and different parts of Adelaide require slightly different treatments. Got some areas got a lot of clay, some areas are quite good, and the soil's fairly sandy and good for moisture. So we try and give the best advice we can to get the right fertilisers and the right chemicals for the right.
And watering techniques, I think, am I right in saying that lawns prefer more of a heavier and less often? So they prefer a bit more of a soak versus obviously having something sporadically every day?
I'd probably say that's a good rule of thumb just in the garden in general. I mean, yes, for your lawn. I mean, what you find is that if you're sort of putting the sprinkler on and running it for say 10 or 15 minutes at a time, but you're doing it 4 or 5 times a week, it allows it to evaporate a bit more.
Sure.
So if you put it on for a longer period, if you put it on for half an hour, depending on your soil and things like that, the water has that ability to penetrate deeper down. The roots of the lawn will get deeper into the soil, and over time you'll be training it to sort of require less waterings a week.
Yeah, good.
Good. You know, also leaving the lawn a bit longer through the summer months means that any moisture that you do put on isn't going to evaporate straight out of the soil.
Sure.
But the foliage of the lawn will help to sort of keep that down in and around the roots. Once again, it'll, you know, any little tips like that for you know, keeping your lawn looking a little bit healthier come you know, a hot summer. Yeah, watering is probably the key to it.
Beautiful. Probably help out on the watering bills too, mate, if you can save water, for sure.
Absolutely.
So cost of living, we love that. Let's make sure we save some money. And then what we think, so we lead on to maybe irrigation, I suppose, then.
Well,
that,
I mean,
so
good segue.
Good time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good segue, straight from watering to irrigation.
So yeah, as we come into the season, we're going to become more dependent on our irrigation systems. And like you touched on at the beginning, after a period of sort of, you know, underuse or inactivity, things like ants can get into your irrigation system and block it up. Soil can get in and block the irrigation up. Lawn can grow over those pop-ups and things like that. So it's a great time to just start the system up and see if everything's working the way that it should be. You know, do you need to clean things out? Do you need to replace anything? You know, you know, during the cooler months, have you got out there and put a shovel through it by accident and not realised?
Check all those connections again, make sure again
absolutely,
they're nice and secure.
Check the box to make sure that you've updated it with daylight savings that we've just had as well. So you know, it's better to be watering earlier in the day than later in the day. It just stops things like fungal problems forming overnight. So yeah, you know, great time to be doing all those checks. And you know, once again, we've got a great irrigation aisle that will be changing in a week's time. It'll be down the front here next time that we talk. But yeah, so plenty of you know, parts to fix any irrigation problems that you have.
Excellent, cool. All right, definitely come in and see Phil and the team here. They will definitely help you with anything as far as your irrigation needs, lawn food needs and things like that as well. And I think we're obviously talking about mulches, garden saving, again, water saving products and stuff like that, which is just all about what we're trying to talk about today, which is encouraging to keep things obviously well hydrated during the fact that we think it's going to be a pretty long sort of hot summer. So
yeah, absolutely.
What's one good tip, Phil?
There's plenty of mulches on the market. There's a different sort of mulch for every purpose. So we've
got the old pea straw.
Oh, we do.
Thompson's pea straw versus sugarcane mulch.
So okay, so the difference there. You'll have people in both camps. For me, sugarcane's fantastic. You put it on. As it breaks down and gets into the soil, it's one that will improve your soil over time. But you'll also have those people that if you put pea straw on, you'll get those sugary peas coming through. People see them as weeds, perhaps.
Exactly.
Pull them out. I mean, they're great. You dig them back in, you add some nitrogen to the soil, but it's not for everyone. So sugarcane offers a similar sort of benefit without that sort of unsightly sort of pea growth.
I think so. A couple of feedbacks I've certainly had is the volume that you get out of a sugarcane as well, so forth as well. But
the idea
very similar products. Exactly right.
The idea with that is it's compressed, whereas this one's not so compressed. And I guess when it comes to putting it over the top of your garden area, when it's compressed, it almost goes on like a mat. And under those circumstances, that sort of helps to suppress weeds growing. So this one doesn't have that property. But like I say, I mean, it's got the extra nitrogen that can be dug through, so there's reasons to do that. You know, we've got others.
Then we go down a bit further down here, mate. We've got obviously more like garden mulches, which are probably a bit more like a bark style or something like that.
I mean, we sort of refer to it as like a cottage type mulch. Rather than being a full-on bark chip, it's more like a composted bark chip. It looks great on the garden. You will have to put something like that a little bit thicker than perhaps the bark, because it's all about how much space it has to sort of hold the water. That one will need just to be a bit thicker to hold the same sort of water capacity as a bark chip.
As like a pine bark sort of chip.
But in terms of mulching, this probably looks the nicest of a lot of them.
Yeah.
It goes on, it's dark.
Yep.
Once it's been on for a couple of months, you'll see all sorts of activity in your soil, earthworms coming through and things like that. So really good.
And am I correct in saying if you do have either healthy soil, healthy lawn, you've got worms? Is that how it works? I reckon my grandpa told me that at one stage.
Yeah,
Maybe not so much.
I'd love to know the context. That's
exactly right.
But you're right. Worms and those sorts of things, absolutely. A good soil, good healthy soil, you will see a lot of activity sort of either in and around or certainly from underneath the soil. Yeah.
So any tips, I suppose, with me, we think back, obviously talk back about my kids, my family, love being in the garden and stuff like that. Tips with this sort of stuff here, are we gloving up, or we have to have masks or anything like that, or is it pretty well safe when it comes to most of your mulches and stuff like that to really get your hands dirty?
I guess the first thing I'd say to you is that if you're going to be doing the mulching of your garden area, the first thing I'd do is actually feed the garden.
Yep.
Because when you're putting your feed down, if you happen to put your feed down on top of your mulch,
you've
got to imagine that it's actually got to break down, work its way through the mulch before it gets to the soil and starts to feed the plants.
Yeah, good
Whereas
tip.
if you put it underneath, then it's right there on top of the soil, ready to do its job.
Yep.
In terms of healthy practice,
Yep.
Look, it is recommended. You'll find it on all bags that these are organic products.
Yep.
And to be safe, the minimum that you'd want to do is glove up.
Yep.
Make sure you wash your hands well after you've used the products.
Yep.
Your nails are scrubbed and things like that. It's advised to put some sort of a mask on if you can.
Yep.
It's just, I mean, for me, look, I've been doing this a long time and I've never run into problems myself.
Yep.
I have heard of the problems occurring,
Yep.
and it's generally around if these products, especially potting mixes, dry out too much, it's the powdery aspect of it that can get into your lungs and cause problems. And that's all that we're trying to sort of get away from.
Fresh new product though.
Basically, best rule of thumb is that once you've opened the bag, use it.
Yeah,
there's no point really holding on to half bags, really.
Yeah.
They only sort of deteriorate once the bag's opened, and so just use it all up, put it on the garden somehow and get rid of it.
All right. Now, we did mention at the start, we've obviously got some other specials as well, because it's big sale time, which is a fantastic time of year. We love the spring end of this town, and we love the fact that we've got garden that goes off at the same time, but we've also got some great manufactured offers as well. We've got 20% off heritage fencing, we've got 20% off easy slat, and we've also got 20% off our gable garages, which we're very, very renowned for. Plus we have obviously plenty of other specials when it comes to all of our manufactured. We've got the ability to design and create your products on the spot. So if you do have time to come in, come and have a look down this end of town, which is obviously lovely and beautiful as well, and then come have a look at some of our beautiful manufactured displays, and we'd be happy to help you out. See you on the weekend.
You will see me, absolutely.
See you later.